Well, hello there and welcome. And thank you so much for stopping by. Today, we're going to be talking about nailing the basics. Have you ever said to yourself, I know I need to do better. I need to drink more water. I need to eat better food. I know I need more sleep. I know I need to move more, but you're not doing it. Have you ever said that? I suspect you probably have since you've been here. And I want you to know that you're not alone. I hear this from about 95% of the women that I work with. And if you think about it, we all know that we need to drink more water. We all know we need to eat more fruits and veggies. We all know that we need to move our body. So why aren't we doing it? Right? And you've probably asked yourself that question so many times. Well, if we haven't yet met, my name is Karen Del Maestro. I'm your transformation coach, also breast cancer and BRCA2 thriver, and I specialize in helping breast cancer survivors not only get their energy back, but start to create a life that actually fits where you are today, because you may have noticed that you're probably not the same person that you were before your diagnosis. And that starts, these energizing habits start by nailing the basics. So where do we go wrong? Right? You may have said, what's wrong with me? You may have said, why can't I do this and everybody else can? Right? These are things that, again, that I hear all the time. And I want you to know that you're not alone. And to be honest with you, I'd be out of a job if we all had this figured out. That's the truth. But so what we're going to talk about in this training today is maybe some of the things that are getting in your way. We're going to go through 7 days of healthy habits that are going to help to boost your energy. I've even got for you a downloadable planner to help you put into action what we're talking about today. Because if you just watch the video, you're just getting more information. You're just going to put more pressure on yourself to do the things that you know that you should be doing. And then you're going to beat yourself up for not doing it again. Right? That's the cycle. I know how it goes. Trust me, after 20 years of working in health and wellness, working with hundreds, if not thousands of women, this is how the cycle goes. So let's break the cycle. How's that sound? You want to break the cycle? Let's do it. Yeah. Woohoo. Okay, great. So first of all, let's talk about maybe some of the things that you've been doing that haven't been working, right? For instance, if you say, I need to drink more water. Okay, so you've got this thought in your head, I need to drink more water, I need to drink more water. You're putting pressure on yourself to drink more water. Maybe you've gone out and bought one of those big gallon containers and you're used to only having a glass a week. And now you're like, got this big container. And you may do it for a couple of days. And then you're like, oh, it's too much. Oh gosh, I forgot my water again. Oh, you're so silly. These are the things that we tell ourselves, right? These are the things that we tell ourselves. Well, the problem is, right, and this is something that I see all the time, and I want you to think about if this is something that you've been doing, right? When we set goals and we say things like, I know I need to drink more water, we go to the amount that we want to be drinking. Okay, so, and you may say, Karen, how much water are we supposed to be drinking? Well, there is a formula and you may have seen it, right? And it's half your body weight in ounces. So for instance, if you weigh 160 pounds, let's say, and you would then drink 80 ounces of water a day. That's the goal. But if you're just having 1 or 2 glasses a day, to get to 80 ounces is really difficult in one step. So I look at the 1 or 2 glasses as the A, the gallon as the Z, and we're trying to go from A to Z. My approach, and it's proven, this is what I do, this is what I teach all of my clients to do, is that we go from A to B. Doesn't it? I hope you just took a breath, because already I hope it feels easier. It feels simpler, right? So setting realistic goals. This isn't where we're going to end up, because from B, we'll go to C. From C, we'll go to D. But all as we make these steps along the way, we get to celebrate little wins. We get to trust in ourselves that we can actually do this. And you can, but this is what it takes, these little baby steps. Okay. Now, what do we then tell ourselves, right? It's not enough, right? So how often have you said that? But it's not enough. I need to be doing more. How am I going to get to where I want to go unless I'm all in and I'm doing it? Yeah. Does that work? How's it going for you? It doesn't work. It doesn't work. And especially if you and I are having this conversation right now after a breast cancer diagnosis, you're tired, you're exhausted, you're drained. The last thing you want is more pressure, right? My whole methodology and everything I teach is to lighten the load that you are carrying. Take away that stress, take away that pressure, take away that being hard on yourself, to find a life that's easier. And guess what? When we do that, do you think we have more energy or less? Of course, we have more energy because we're lightening the load we're carrying. And so that is one of the ways that we do it, by alleviating the pressure that we put on ourselves. Doesn't change what the end goal is. Just means that we may take a little longer to get there, but by doing that, you are creating habits that stick versus the on, off, on, off, on, off. And if you've ever been on a diet, then you know that feeling, right? That on, off, and feeling that constant pressure. Now, I want you to let that go. Let it go. There's a different way, and this other way works. I promise. It's what I do. It's what I've been doing. It's what helps me bounce back after all of my major traumas. So what I want to do now is to explain why these habits that I'm going to be sharing with you shortly, why they actually help with your energy level. Okay, so I'm going to do, and please be kind, because I'm going to do a little drawing for you. And of course, I'm certainly no artist here, but you should be able to see my whiteboard. And what I want to draw for you right now is, I'm going to start over here. And I realize as I do this, it actually does look a little bit like a breast, right? So I said, please be kind. I am not an artist, but you're going to get the idea. All right. So here we have maybe a little misshapen, but that's okay. No judgment, right? We're talking about self-compassion. So here we have a teapot. And I invite you to think of yourself and your body as this teapot. Now, the level of tea in our teapot may start, I don't know, up there at the beginning of the day, right? If you're lucky. Depends where you are in your recovery, if you even have that much energy when you wake up in the morning, right? I know. So what happens throughout the day is that we are constantly pouring our tea, in other words, our energy, into other people's teacups, right? Think of it. What do you do all day? Do you stress about other people? Do you worry about the kids? Do you worry about your husband or your partner? Do you worry about friends and family and people at work? Are you stressing about what's going on in the world? Are you worried about the weather and how it's going to affect your life today? All of the things that we think about this, where our mind goes, our energy flows. So that tea is flowing wherever we're thinking about. So into all of these other teacups, that's where your energy is going throughout the day. And so what happens throughout the day is we're giving to others, as we're taking care of others, as we are doing all the things that you, as a beautiful woman who cares about others, are doing, then your energy is being drained and drained and drained and drained, so that you end up sucked dry with nothing more to give. And then you're like, I can't even, you're looking at your sneakers in the corner, right? Saying, I really should be going for a walk right now. I know I should. I know I've got to move my body, but I just don't have the energy. And so we end up what? Laying on the couch, on the bed, watching Netflix and chilling, right? Often put with our hand in a bag of chocolate chip cookies or some chips as we are doing it. Or maybe you're pouring wine because you're being hard on yourself, because you know that you're not doing the things that you need to be doing to make yourself feel better. I want you to know it's not your fault, okay? It's not your fault. You've never learned how to do this before, right? This is why most of the population is not drinking the water, eating more fruits and vegetables, and moving their body. Most people are not doing it because they never really learned how to make these habits stick. But also, why? Why do we need to? So here's the thing, right? Wouldn't it make sense that if you spend all of your energy focusing on others, focusing on what are people going to say, what are people going to think, what are people going to do, stressing about other family problems, stressing, how do you expect to get your energy back if all of your energy, all of your thoughts, all of your actions are directed outward towards taking care of others? You're not. You're not. Trust me, I used to do the same thing. Call myself a recovering people pleaser, because everything that I did in my life for decades, probably until my mid-40s, everything I did was for others, to take care of others, to try and make other people happy. And what I realized is the only thing that makes us happy is by taking care of ourselves. And then, and only then, do the people around us feel happy, because they see us happy. And so what we chronically do, which is taking care of others, is actually getting the opposite effect of what we really want, which is for everybody to be happy, right? So here's the thing, if that hasn't been working, we've got an opportunity to try something different. And like I said, I know that this works. And what is it, right? What are we doing? So I want you to think about this. The habits that I'm going to be sharing with you shortly are the things that throughout the day, let me just do this for a second, right? These healthy, energizing habits, what do you think they do for your teapot? They, oops, that wasn't quite what I wanted to draw, but okay. We'll do it this way. No master at this, right? These energizing, healthy habits put tea back into your pot. So we're topping up your teapot throughout the day. So then, would it not make sense when we do that, that we've actually got more energy? Remember, that level of tea is your energy. We've got more energy to spend on ourselves. right? Whether it's doing the laundry or pottering around in the garden or meeting up with friends for lunch because you haven't had the energy to do it, or running around with the kids or the grandkids, right? Then we've got the energy to do those things, plus take care of others too, without being sucked dry, without feeling bitter and angry and resentful. There's a reason that I am here today and I am able to serve you with the commitment and energy that I do. And that's because I take care of me first. Self-care is my non-negotiable. Self-care is the rock of my universe. And these healthy, energizing habits that I'm sharing with you, every single one of them is an act of self-care. Okay. So I want you to always think about, imagine, right? I know it's one of Karen's like silly things, right? Imagine yourself as that teapot. Imagine yourself as that teapot. Okay. So now we know some of the things that we've been doing that perhaps have not been working. We know why we need to be doing this, making sure that we're topping up our teapot. Now let's get down to the nitty gritty and talk about some of the ways that we can actually do this. So I've gone ahead and printed out. This is the guide, the printable planner that you can get when you download. Now, when you hit that button to download, you'll just have to pop in your email so that I know where to send it. Okay. So nail the basics. This is what we're trying to do here, right? Is to get these basics. And inside, you'll see an actual planner here, right? For 7 days, giving you 7 tips for you to nail the basics. So let's go through them, okay? Now, feel free. Once you get that email from me with your guide and you download it, if you hit reply, you can hit reply with any questions. Feel free to do so. They come straight to me, not to a bot, not to a team, not to anything else. They come straight to me. So please feel free to send me a message. Let me know what you think. Let me know how you are nailing these habits and how it's affecting your energy, because you are going to notice that energy level going up. And in fact, your first tip is to take note. Karen, but I just want to dive right in. I know. That's another common mistake that I see people making, right? Think of it this way. If you were to get into a car to go on a cross-country trip and you needed an address in your GPS, what's the first thing that GPS asks you? It asks you, where are you now? Right? Because the only way to know how to get to where you're going is to know where you're starting. Makes sense, right? So that's the first thing. And this is something I find that so often when we're on what I call the hamster wheel of life, we're just in the motions. We're just doing. And we're not really looking from this place of observation. That's what I'm inviting you to do. So tip 1 is to start taking note. What's going on? Where's your energy going? Where is it? Is it going outward or is it going inward? How are you feeling? How are certain things affecting your energy? Do you notice that when you're more stressed, you're more tired? More than likely, yes. Okay. So that's your tip number 1, is to just take note. Please do not ignore this step. It's really, really important. Okay. So that's step number 1. Step number 2, we are going to increase your water. But we're not going to go from 1 or 2 glasses a day to that gallon that we talked about before. So let's say that you've got an 8-ounce glass of water. And maybe you have, I don't know, 2 or 3 a day normally. What I invite you to think about is increasing it by 1 glass. That's it. That's it. Increase it by 1 glass. Notice how you feel. There's a space in this planner for you to write that. Notice how you feel. Now, water is going to help with the aches and pains. It's going to help you sleep better. It's going to help brain fog. It's going to help, it's going to help with hot flashes. It's going to help, of course, with your energy. So it's really important when it comes to feeling good and getting your life back, right? So that's what we do. And maybe you do that for the whole week, is just that extra glass. And then the following week, you add another glass. And I know you're thinking, but Karen, I always have to pee. I hear you and I know. So what I want you to know is that the bladder is a muscle. You have to train it just like everything else. And so if an 8-ounce glass of water is too much to add, then you add 4 ounces without judgment. And as that bladder gets stronger, because it gets used to holding a little bit more water, you'll see that it feels better. And you're not going to have to run to the bathroom all the time. We have to increase it slowly in order to train that bladder. Does that make sense? I hope so. So number 3 is to add a green to every meal. So on the 3rd day, you're going to add a green to every meal. So in the morning, that might be a little bit of baby spinach in an omelet, right? Or in a smoothie, you can certainly add that too. At lunch, it might be a salad. It could be some salad, some spinach or arugula, something like that on a sandwich, if you're having a sandwich. Personally, I'm gluten-free. I prefer not to be having bread, but I know many of you probably still are, and that's okay. And then at dinner, maybe you're adding in a broccoli and maybe some green beans if you've already, would have one vegetable. And that's it for the day. Does that sound like it's hard? Does it sound like it's too much? This is how we start to do it. It's just by adding a little bit. And again, you can continue each of these habits. You don't have to stop them. In fact, I encourage you not to, but maybe you go through a week and then the next week you do the same again until they become habits. Habits are created by consistency, not perfection. There's a difference. Okay, so consistency. If you have a day where it doesn't happen, okay, all right, you just hop back on it the next day without being hard on yourself. That's the tricky bit. I know. So tip number 4 that we're looking at is to get out for a walk. We have to move our bodies. 20 to 30 minutes a day is preferable, but just get out and walk. I find for me that, and I walk first thing in the morning. I live in Florida right now, so it can be warm. So but I've always liked to exercise and move my body first thing in the morning. It changes my whole mood for the day. It revs my body up. It gets it going. It helps, if I'm sweating, it helps with that lymphatic flow, getting the lymph system and toxic drainage system, if you will, moving. So I like to move first thing in the morning, but it's also been proven that when we move first thing in the morning, we're not pushing it off, right? We're more likely to just get it done because it's first thing. And then when all the other things come up throughout the day, we're not pushing off our time, right? Think about, when you get home from work and you've got to make dinner, or maybe you picked it up or whatever, you're not going to go out for a walk afterwards because you're going to be tired. That's not judgment. That's just being realistic. Okay, so when we look at that, we say, how can I shift it? What can I do differently so that I can make this a habit if it's important to you? Okay, so number 5 is getting more sleep. You're like, Karen, but the hot flashes, I have trouble sleeping, I can't get comfortable. I know, I hear you. I truly, truly hear you. And here's what I find works for me. Number 1, a bedtime routine is so important. Getting into a routine of what you do as you're getting ready for bed. I always think about, when my kids were growing up and we had this nighttime routine, they'd have their bath, we'd put on their PJs, we'd snuggle and read a story, and then they'd go to bed and I'd have like lullaby type music playing, right? So what's interesting is at some point in time, obviously, as we grow up, we fall out of that habit, but our body actually really enjoys it. So maybe those things obviously might change, although I'm still a fan of a bath at the end of the day. think about setting up a nighttime routine that does not involve electronics, really important. No iPad or phone, preferably for 2 hours before bed, because the blue light affects our brain waves. That's why. And so it's stimulating our brain, and that's why it's sometimes hard. So think about that, you know, as you're getting ready for bed, what can you do to set up that routine? Now, the next one, number 6 in our 67, we're almost done here, guys. So please hold on, okay? And you can always pause these and come back, but I encourage you to at least go through the training once, right? Then number 6 is morning mindfulness. Now, I kind of do double duty with this, I have to admit, right? Because I'm all about lightening the load, not about adding on, not feeling like my plate is full or I'm being pressured. So while I'm out for my walk in the morning, that is actually when I'm being mindful about my day. And what it means is I'm kind of setting an intention for the day. How do I want my day to feel? Do I want a calm day? Do I feel like I need a calm day? Do I have more energy and I want to have more of an exciting, joyful, fun-filled day? What do I want out of my day? Do I need a productive day? Setting that intention first thing in the morning, sitting with your body, saying, what do you need? How are you feeling today? Is going to help you, again, be more intentional with how you go through the motions throughout your day versus hamster wheel, blinders, just going through the motions, doing what you've always done because it's what you've always done. It's different, right? We're starting to put you on the map here because you matter. You may not know that yet. You may not feel that yet, but I know that. You matter, and what you want out of this life matters. And the only way to get it is by starting to prioritize taking better care of you. All of these habits are going to help you do that. And the final one, right, for day 7 is to plan out your week. Now, I always remember, like when I was a kid probably in middle school, probably around that time, like laying out, making sure that my books were ready. Yes, I was a bit of a nerd, right? Making sure my books were ready, making sure that my uniform, because I grew up in the UK, we had uniform, making sure that my uniform was laid out and ready because I didn't want my morning to be stressful. So what I've noticed is like when I plan out my week on a Sunday, like I'll take a look at my work calendar. Okay, what's going on? All right, so I'm kind of setting the mindset. Then it's like the first things first is where's my movement every day? Where's my time for all the bits that I need to do for me? That's first on my calendar. I don't fit it in around everything else. Everything else fits in around that. Yeah, that's a big shift. That's a whole other training. So I won't go into that for now. Okay, so what I want you to do is download your planner, right? So you can see that each day there's, what to do. And just to recap, it's number 1, taking note. Number 2, increasing your water. Number 3, adding a green to every meal. Number 4, you're going to get out and walk. Number 5, getting more sleep. Number 6, morning mindfulness, setting that intention for the day. And number 7, planning your week. And as you get into this habit and you get into this consistency, and I've got a couple of different tracking and methods for you in this guide so that you can kind of take a look and say, what works for me? And I've even got a 30-day planner in there so that you can plan out more, so that you can start to increase these habits. Again, we're shooting for progress, not perfection. If there's a day when we don't do it, we say, oh, wow. And actually there's a little Karen catchphrase here that I'll share with you before we finish up on our training. And by the way, I just want to say that, putting yourself first, prioritizing yourself is not easy to do. And it is what I teach in my VIP group coaching program, Thrivership School. It's a year-long program. Like that's how long it really takes to nail these things down, to know who you are, to get to say no and not feel bad about it. So this is complex, but these habits are going to give you the boost that you need to start going. But know that if you want to, you can continue the journey. Okay. So back to my Karenism as we're about to finish up here. So if you think that you have a dozen eggs in your hand and you accidentally drop one on the floor, do you throw the rest of the dozen on the floor? No, we don't, right? We clean up the egg that fell on the floor and we use the others. So I invite you to think about a day where you're not having such a great day, a day where you're finding it hard to get your water down or to add the green or to get out for a walk. I invite you to just say, oh, well, I dropped an egg. Yes, it's funny. But I also think it's easier to remember because it's funny like that. But it's true, right? Rather than beating yourself up, throwing in the towel, then beating yourself up again because you threw in the towel and you failed. This is what you're telling yourself. This is not my verbiage, because you're not failing. We never fail. We just learn. So I invite you to say, oh, well, I dropped an egg. Much kinder, right? Much, much, much kinder. So head on over, click, if you didn't yet, click the button to download this planner. There's 8 pages here. Like I said, we've used this one today, but there's others in there for you to use so that you can really start to nail down these habits. Feel free to email me. But understand that, yes, it takes consistency. It takes time. You're not going to click your fingers and be there in a week. I'm always going to be honest with you. It does take time, but I know that you can do it. And I also know that this is the most valuable thing you can ever do, because guys, these are the habits that keep me on track every time I go through a trauma. This is what gets me to bounce back. These simple things, right? Simple does not mean easy. It just means that they're not difficult to do in themselves, the task. The challenge comes in giving yourself permission to actually do them, to succeed, to take that step towards the life that you want and the energy that you want. Because if you're just saying, hey, you know, I really want more energy, but you're not focusing on it, and you're not, it's like saying, oh, I really want to run a marathon, but you don't train for it. It's the same thing. So if we're saying I want more energy, if we're saying I want to take better care of myself, if we're saying I really know I need some healthier habits, this is how we do it. I want to start singing. I won't do that to you. This is how we do it. I know. Sorry. Anyway, guys, I hope that this is helpful. As I said, when you download the guide, you'll just pop in your email so that I know where to send it. You'll download it. Feel free to reach out to me. I'll be popping in a couple of days to just check on you and see how you're doing with it. See if you have any questions. Schedule some time in your calendar for this. Do not let it sit in your inbox. It's way too valuable. You can do this. I promise you can. Okay, that's it for now, guys. And I will see you soon.